Well, now for a candid look at life in Gaza, Inside Hamas, a film just before the recent border dispute with Egypt, reveals the casualties of the continuing conflict within the Gaza Strip.
Hamas, the armed Palestinian resistance movement which made the tactic of suicide bombing popular across the Middle East, is now in power in the Gaza Strip.
The fact that Hamas is controlling Gaza is a threat to everyone who is in the moderate secular side of the Middle East.
Labeled Islamic terrorists by the West, what does Hamas really stand for?
You shouldn't expect them to behave as a civilized police. They will behave with the maximum of brutality they were trained to.
Can they lay down their weapons and behave like a government? Will they pursue democracy or impose an Islamic state? Our cameras were the only ones allowed to film inside the Hamas organization during these first dramatic weeks of power in Gaza. In today's Gaza, old habits die hard. Skirmishes on the border with its main enemy, Israel, are part of everyday life. Israeli tanks and bulldozers are coming across the border to clear scrubland so that Palestinian fighters can't use it as protection to attack Israel. Hamas fighters come amongst the crowd and return fire.
It's a mortar shell by the resistance.
This is what Hamas is renowned for. The reason why many Palestinians see them as defenders of their own people.
تمت المقاومة الصبح لما دخلوا الساعة 3 صباحا هي فاجأتهم ضربتهم المقاومة وتم إصابة منهم 20 واحد بما فيهم القائد تبعهم مات. نعم ورغم الطيارات تضرب الصبح جت الطائرات الهليكوبتر والزنانة هذه هي تضرب رصاص ترعب السكان وترعب الناس لكن الناس صامدين وزي ما بتشوفوا بعيونك.
This type of military action is the source of Hamas's hero status with many Palestinians.
نحن خرجنا منذ الصباح في سبيل الله عز وجل لا نبتغي سوى مرضاة الله عز وجل وإن أصبنا فالله قد كتب لنا ذلك وإن استشهدنا فبها ونعمة ونحن نرغب إن شاء الله في الاستشهاد في سبيل الله فقضاه الله عز وجل نافذ لا محالة حياكم الله.
Following Israel's withdrawal from Gaza, it was in a wave of this kind of grassroots popularity that Hamas won the subsequent Palestinian Authority elections in 2006. But victory led to sanctions and an international boycott of the Hamas-led government. Under pressure, in early 2007, Hamas formed a national unity government with its hated rivals, Fatah. Fatah had dominated the Palestinian Liberation Organization led by Yasser Arafat and had been the party in control until Hamas's 2006 election victory. 3 months later, relations between the two parties broke down and Hamas's fighters took their guns to the streets. In 8 days, they seized power in what was effectively a coup d'etat.
Hamas decided to go ahead with this military coup. They were very naive. They thought they can actually impose their will on people, they can rule Gaza Strip and build their own state in Gaza.
Following the coup, the Palestinian Authority was split in two. Fatah are in charge of the West Bank. Hamas control Gaza. With the coup reinforcing the West's belief that Hamas are terrorists, direct economic aid to Gaza has been frozen. It continues to be paid via the Fatah-controlled West Bank.
Here you have 1.5 million Palestinians cornered and squeezed in 150 square miles. No water, no electricity, no minerals, no agriculture, nothing at all. It is a depot of poverty there.
Besieged, isolated and without funding, Hamas still has to administer the day-to-day responsibilities of government. To maintain law and order, Hamas have had to create their own police, called the Executive Force. It's comprised of soldiers from their military wing. So Abu Naim, a respected military commander, is now the captain of a new Hamas police unit. Like his troops, he's making the difficult transition from military to civilian duties.
المهمة الموجودة طبعا إزالة جميع البسطات اللي بتعيق الطريق لأنه في المحيط الدائم تبع اللي هو مركز الشرطة صار في خلل بالأمن زي عبوات ناسفة تنحط.
شوف العالم ولا العالم.
Trying to enforce the law means having to confront the very people who once looked up to them.
احنا بدنا نترزق احنا بدنا نكتب ورقه في بعض نقعد
احنا بنات ناس كويسين مؤدبين بقى مع واحد منبط بتخرب
الاوامر اللي عندي ممنوع اي بسطه.
طيب وين ندبر حالي بس خليني اكمل وين يا ابو نعيم يا بركه وين نروح
من المره اللي فاتت
وانا بجري وراك
انا من المره اللي فاتت قلت لكم روحوا على السوق اللي متخصص.
الو سوق انت يا ابو نعيم الله يعزك
بقول لك احنا اليوم في حرب تجويع بطالبوا في العالم هذا المساعد اللي بتجيبوها للشعب يعني يكفي انه العالم حاصرنا اقتصاديا وسياسيا وعسكريا. الشعب اليوم بيستفيد من لقمه العيش من الرصيف، بعيش من الرصيف، ما بعيش من حاجه ثانيه، بعيش من الرصيف. فليش احنا ما نساعد بعضنا ونلاس الشعب؟ يكفي انه الشعب بيروحش على المكاتب ويقول معطونا لله.
These ex-fighters used to have pride in their work. Now they're shrinking with embarrassment.
الامر بغض النظر انك تحكي وتجيب الدبكه وتعمل وبدي انت هنا جندي ماشي يا ابويا سمع وطاعه لكن انك انت تيجي تقول انا عيني ولا راسي نقول نتكلم وشوفونا خلافات وانت في كل منهم حلول وعدنا لما اروح المركز بفتح ماشي الله يبارك فيك. يمكن تكون صعبة على نفوسنا.
It is not easy for us to have to remove somebody's stall from the street. Before, we were trained in military techniques of attack, trained to attack the enemy wherever he might be. But attacking the enemy is different to policing the streets.
At the sharp end of trying to make the government work is Prime Minister Ismail Haniyeh, presiding over Hamas's rule of the Gaza Strip. In his local mosque, he preaches more like a revolutionary leader than a statesman.
ونحو تشكيل أول حكومة فلسطينية تتمسك بحقوق وثوابت الشعب الفلسطيني. الأمريكان ضدك، الأوروبيين جزء كبير منهم ضدك، بعض أبناء أمتك ضدك، بعض أبناء شعبك ضدك، والعدو ضدك. أمانة ثقيلة، ولكن كفانا 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 حسبنا أن الله إن شاء الله معنا. من الضغط لإخراج هذه الحركة من السلطة فلن يخرجوها من قلوب هذا الشعب.
During Hamas's days in armed opposition, Haniyeh's rallying call against perceived enemies led to popular support. But getting that same support in Gaza today is much harder. For many Palestinians, priorities have changed. The issue now is not just the old enemy Israel, rather it's delivering people's basic needs. Unemployed workers take to the streets, blaming Hamas for the lack of food and jobs.
العالم اجت بعد الانقلاب اللي صار في قطاع غزه، ساءت الاوضاع على العمال، لا كابونا ولا مساعدات ولا رواتب. احنا بنطالب براتب شهري.
Hamas is an inexperienced organization. They've never been in power before. They are expert in resistance. But when it comes to rules and when it comes to governing the people, they are amateurs here.
With more street protests planned, this inexperience in government is to be stretched yet further. This time protesters are demanding free speech and secular government. It's a test of Hamas's democratic intentions in Gaza. Will they allow dissent, or will they silence it?
وقف الكاميرا روح وقف الكاميرا بقول لك